Welcome to Chandler in Focus. I'm Council Member Kevin Hartke, and my guests today are Chandler Police Commander David Lavoie and Police Officer Lorenda Tibble. Welcome to Chandler in Focus.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And today we're going to talk about a mental health event coming up for our community. As we know, mental health affects all of us. As a community leader, I've attended many funerals of people who just couldn't navigate what was going on in their life. As a pastor, I've had opportunity to counsel several people and try to find resources. So that's why I'm really excited about our show today and what we're going to be presenting. And we're going to be talking about a mental health event coming up. So let's start with introductions. Can you share your backgrounds and a little bit of your history? And Lorenda, let's start with you.
I've been a patrol officer for almost 9 years with the city of Chandler. I've done the entire time in patrol, mainly at the West Substation. Specifically, my beat was the area by the Chandler Fashion Center Mall.
And I imagine you've had some good stories to tell around there. That's one of our bustling centers and perhaps where people are a little more absent-minded at times.
Yeah.
Commander Lavoie, tell us about yourself.
Well, I grew up in rural Illinois, and I always had a healthy understanding and appreciation of the benefits of education. But in order to get there, I had to serve some time in our United States Marine Corps, veteran of the First Gulf War. Then after I got my degree, I moved out here, became a police officer with the city of Chandler. Have been doing that now for over 21 years. I've held a variety of different assignments and roles, each one of them a great opportunity to learn more and help citizens and just develop myself as an individual and provide the service that we need. So it's been a great career.
Well, that's fantastic. And I've had the opportunity of attending Relay for Life events with you and others. And again, thank you for your service. So let's start with you in our questions. Tell us about the mental health event coming up that the Chandler Police Department is presenting.
Oh, thank you. This is it's aptly named A Focus on Understanding and Hope. And basically it's going to bring a high level of awareness and education to not only residents and citizens that are coping with mental health issues, but also officers as well. It is scheduled for September 24th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Center for the Arts located at 250 North Arizona Avenue.
Well, that's fantastic. And why is our department presenting this? What's the drive, the motivation?
Kind of how you started the show, Councilmember, with the impact that it has. We've seen this as a nationwide issue, and our community is no different. And as officers, we go to a number of calls that are predicated or based upon people that are coping with mental health, things like that. And so it is something that really impacts our community as a whole and our personnel. So for that reason, it has a significant purpose.
It seems like, rightfully so, that more people are talking about this, which is a good thing. So rather than suffering in silence, I was watching the Olympics recently, and several of the bios of the athletes talked about some of their struggles in their drive for perfection and falling short and it's struggling with depression and other types of things. So this is good that we're able to follow up in this kind of crest of more awareness of talking about this. Can you tell us about how this event originated?
Going to pass that one to Officer Lorenda.
Fantastic.
So like I said, I've been a patrol officer for 9 years. I would say the last 5 years, I noticed a larger amount of calls coming from people who were in crisis, mainly because of a mental health issue, or they were on drugs or had an addiction. And I would go to these calls daily, and family members, friends would come to me and just express that they were feeling hopeless. They didn't know how to help their loved ones. And frankly, I didn't know the resources available. Even being a police officer for, the 7 years that I was at the time, I didn't know what to offer them. I only had a little amount of resources. So I ended up finding a training called CIT. It's Crisis Intervention Training. I attended that training, and in that process learned all of the resources available. I took that back out to patrol, and when I would tell family and friends of loved ones coping with mental health, they would come back to me and say, this worked, this didn't work, thank you for the resources. And I wanted to provide that to our community. There hasn't been an event in our community or even in the East Valley that specialized in different resources, having them all in one room for all of us to go to and find out what's available. So I partnered with one of my teammates and we came up with the event. We ended up getting NAMI, which is a National Alliance for Mental Illness, and we partnered with them to make an event last year. So this will be our second event.
You know, you're doing something I really like, is explaining acronyms. So yeah. I appreciate you doing that. Sometimes in our circles, we just assume that everyone knows the particular acronyms that we like to use. So tell us more about crisis in training.
So yeah, CIT, crisis intervention training. It's 40 hours. Dispatchers go, police officers go. In my class specifically, that was who attended. It's 40 hours. It's a nationwide training. However, the best part, I think, for why CIT was valuable to me was because it actually has the resources for that area come teach the classes. So you know where to go, what doors are open for you, and what you can provide family and friends, and then also people who are coping with a mental health issue. The other thing is it helps us train on how to respond to these calls. There are times where taking people to jail when they're in this crisis, even when a crime has been committed, isn't the best option for them. So it gives us other options available for us as police officers.
That's fantastic. I've appreciated with our first responders, both police and fire too had a response at one point where the only option that they could do was take people to an ER room, and now have developed other options to help people. And this is outstanding too, because you're right, that's not the best solution for all scenarios, depending on where people are at. So tell us about last year's event. This is the second annual this year.
So we partnered with NAMI, my teammate and I, and then they did a presentation in our own voices, is the name of their presentation. They did that presentation, and along with, we had about 30 resource booths. So we had a large turnout, but obviously we want to make this year's a better all around.
So do you have any particular stories from last year that stand out in your mind of that people that thanked you, or because of this, it set into play a positive action that you can relate to us?
Actually, because I am so passionate about it, I created helped create the event. I would go to my families that had called us many times because of their loved ones. And a couple times I stopped by and here's the flyer, remember the date. And specifically, I've had 2 of those families reach back out to me and say that they learned, not only in the presentation they learned a lot, but they also were able to, again, what doors are open for my family? What resources? If one door doesn't work, where else can we go? Because the great thing about our valley that we live in is there are lots of doors. We just have to be able to present that to people so they can find them.
I had a sibling who struggled with drug addictions when I was growing up, and I remember late night phone calls at times and vacant voices, desperate voices, and I, again, was just feeling helpless and hopeless, and this would have been great to have this type of resource, at least that I could direct him to acquire. So thank you. I'm sure we're doing a whole lot of good for others in today's world. So Commander Lavoie, how does this event compare to last year's event?
Well, we're really going to try to build upon the successes of last year's event.
Excellent.
One of the feedback that we had received was that the networking opportunities for service providers, as I'm sure you're very well aware, service providers have a niche that they kind of operate in, a lane, if you will. And unfortunately for them, it really tugs at their heartstrings when they're unable to provide help to somebody that's outside of their lane, that's uncharted territories, though they may want to. And so networking is a valuable tool for them, because if they learn another service provider who does provide that certain service, then they simply lateral over that citizen, that resident that needs that help, to that other service provider without a hitch. So trying to find those doors, as Lorenda is referring to, is simplified because the organizations that are seeking to help with these issues then can just point the pathway right to them. So we're really seeking on expanding upon that. We changed the venue to the Center for the Arts, which is allowing us for seating up to 1,400 people, which is why we're trying to get the message out to everybody, because we would love to be able to fill that venue. And in addition, that provided us multiple rooms so that we can have up to 11 presentations during the times that this event is being held, creating greater opportunity for people to get what it is that they're looking for and for us to be able to provide that. And in doing so, we then increased our focus to where not only were we focused on the networking for the service providers, but we're focused on all the various needs for the residents, whether it be addiction or mental illness or suicide, PTSD. And so we really looked at providing presentations that reached all of those, in addition to our officers who need some education and awareness in this as well. So when they're responding to these calls for service, they're more apt to identify what it is that they're dealing with and find that best solution to mitigate the issues that are in front of them.
That's outstanding. I've had the opportunity to develop a few community-wide events, and my rule of thumb has been if the first year has a pulse, then I'm happy. Then there's lots to build on, and by the third year, the thing just exceeds any expectations that I could. And we're starting the second year with more than a pulse, which is outstanding. A lot of good happened last year, and I'm sure that this is going to build upon it. So what type of people are we hoping that will attend this? I know you'd mentioned certainly people who have their own struggles or ghosts that they're dealing with, but who do you hope is going to be there?
Well, we certainly are inviting anyone who's interested in learning more about mental health, mental illness, addictions, depression, things of that nature, because we all have our stories. We all know somebody, or could, within a matter of a short period of time, find that we do know somebody who's dealing with these types of issues. So we would hope that anybody that falls into that category, and certainly the family members or the individuals themselves that are directly coping with these today, we'd invite them to come. And then the service providers as well that are seeking to either network with other organizations or to actually provide a informational booth to where they can go ahead and provide direct resources to the community, and then as well as officers. So this event is not only being open to our internal officers, but we're reaching out to all of our partners within the law enforcement community to provide their personnel with that basic training to where they can have this understanding and awareness.
Have other cities, have they engaged in similar actions like this too? You mentioned our other officers outside of our force, so our surrounding East Valley cities, or have they established a best practice that we've looked at or that are looking at us?
Absolutely. There's oftentimes in our partnerships with other agencies, especially the East Valley is very well known for their collaboration. As things are successful, they certainly get adopted. And that goes for policies, practices, and then events such as these.
Well, that's good. And as we are aware, and certainly you guys with the work that you do, people in need don't really know where a city boundary is. It's just, this is where they are, this is where they're going. And if it's in Chandler, Mesa, Gilbert, I'm sure that this training that we will provide as well as offer others is going to be invaluable. Well, you also mentioned a number of partners. So Officer Tibble, tell us about who are some of the partners that are going to be, or those who are registered to attend.
Well, we had a tremendous outpour from the community wanting to be at the event to showcase what they can offer. We have right now over 50 resource booths from various expertise, from mental health, youth services, organizations that specialize in PTSD, addictions. So pretty much you name it, they're going to be at the event. Over 50 50 resource booths.
That's outstanding. And so they have the opportunity. Is there still the option for more, or are we pretty closed out because of space?
We are.
Okay.
50 is definitely a lot, and we have to work with the space that we're given.
So maybe our admonition is, after this year, which is even going to be better than last year, organizations that want to have a booth should connect early if they want to get involved.
Yes, yes, for sure.
Well, that's fantastic. And Commander Lavoie, again, what types of presentations or trainings or can the organizations or individuals, what can they expect?
But Lorenda touched on some of it. So we basically broke it down into three main areas. So with mental health, we do have a presentation being given by NAMI that is going to focus on in our own voice, I'm sorry. And then we do have different presentations on PTSD as well as suicide prevention, and then also mental illness and that. So we do have a wide range of those, and we're going to set it up in kind of a conference style. And so that's going to allow our attendees the opportunity to select which presentations they want to attend, and then in the space provided in between those, attend the booths and get the information or the resources and get the networking in that they're looking for.
So this will be somewhat of a mix of kind of group presentations and breakouts in small groups, as well as time to interact with the booths and organizations.
Yes, we're looking forward to it. We really took a wholehearted approach in trying to improve upon the opportunities, and we're hoping that this is a big success as a result of it.
So Officer Tibble, tell me a little bit about just what you've found in your looking to collaborate with businesses and organizations in making this event possible. Have you seen a lot of community support, not just from those who are addressing drug addiction or mental illness, but kind of across the community? Or have you seen a widespread support, and do you have any stories about that?
Yes, and specifically, we partnered this year with Valley Hope, and they are having a awareness and recovery walk. So that walk is going to start at their location. You can find more information on their website, Valley Hope, and their walk is going to end at our location. So it's going to be tied in together. People who after the walk, they can go to our event as well. We also have light refreshments. Basha's donated those items. So I feel as a community, people have come together to make this event be great.
That's fantastic. So how long of a walk will that be? And you mentioned that people can go to Valley Hope's website for that?
Yes, and it's a half-a-mile walk. They have it all mapped out, and we're going to be involved as a police department too, making sure people are safe. And then, like I said, it will end at our event, so they can come in and check it out.
Well, very good. Will you two be able to participate on the walk too, or will you be crazily running around making sure everything is in place?
I think we're making sure that everything's in place because we really want this event to be a success. So we'll have to be in the background, but very much looking forward to having that walk feed right into our event and have it just add to the success that we're anticipating.
Well, it's a great location at the center of the arts with lots of room, and it's going to be exciting. So, Commander Lavoie, how would someone find more out about this information? Where can they secure this information?
The most immediate place to go would be to our Chandler Police website, which is www.chandlerpd.com, and then look under current events. It will be on there, as well as we'll have listed the service providers that are going to be present. That way, if somebody was really curious as to whether or not what they particularly need is going to be there, they'll be able to refer to that list and then see who's going to be present.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, is there anything else that either of you would like to say in regard to this event, or just why you were personally excited that this is coming to Chandler?
I'm excited just because of the outpour that we had for the community. Like I said, for me, we started it for the family, friends, people who are coping with mental illness, addiction. Now we expanded that. Also for police officers, I know for me, like I said, I wanted that education. A lot of departments don't necessarily have the money to send or the time, the staffing, but this is something that is free for everyone. And there's also going to be classes that are AZ Post certified, which is great for us as police officers. And like I said, I think it's great that we can go to these resources, these resource booths, and find out about their organizations so we can go to calls and respond and have the most information available. The other thing, as a patrol officer, the one thing I love is we're usually the first to give these resources out. Sometimes, they didn't know they have a mental illness, or they are just starting the process of recovery. So we're our first face. So we need to have all the resources available and then know how to give them the best service. So
That's great.
So I'm looking forward to this event for one primary reason, because it really hits upon an issue that our entire community is dealing with. And whenever you have these opportunities to work as a whole with not only the business community, but then the not-for-profit organizations, and then public safety, as well as our citizens, to address an issue, then it will advance, it will improve, it will get better. So this is a huge opportunity for us to take the step in the right direction with all these issues. And so really looking forward to seeing if it all comes about.
Well, that's great. And I'm really glad that you guys are bringing this to our community. I have the opportunity weekly to work with many in our homeless community in Chandler, and that maybe that's more often the picture. Perhaps a couple of them who just life has kind of fallen apart. But as we know, in many families, perhaps every family, there is a story of someone who has or is or will be struggling with some form of mental illness or addiction. And hopefully we will be able to avert and rechannel someone to get some help before their life does fall apart. So I personally want to thank both of you for the energy and passion that you're bringing to this and bringing to our community, and look forward to hearing stories from this afterwards. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.